Hello, everyone. This is Rochelle Seeger. I work here at the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky, and I'm so glad you're joining us here today on our webinar as part of the Health for a Change training series, Kentucky Inspired, Bringing Justice Back to Our Bodies. The Foundation for Healthy Kentucky was founded in 2001 to address the unmet health needs of Kentuckians. This is the Foundation's mission, and the Foundation does that by developing and influencing policy, improving access to care, reducing health risks and disparities, and promoting health equity. The Foundation values integrity, respect, effectiveness, leadership, collaboration, and policy equity. Again, my name is Rochelle Seeger. I'm so honored to have been working here at the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky since 2013. I work on the Foundation's data initiatives and obviously on this series called Health for a Change. You can find out a lot more about the Foundation, its current initiatives, and sign up for its e-newsletter on the Foundation's website, healthy-ky.org. The Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky also leads two health coalitions currently. These statewide health coalitions are working on health policy, and we invite you to join them. The first one, founded in 2017, is the Coalition for a Smoke-Free Tomorrow, working on smoke-free policies. And the most newly launched coalition, just launched last month, is Kentucky Coalition for Healthy Children. That coalition also invites your participation, and they're working on health policies to improve children's health in the state. You can find more on those coalitions at our website, healthy-ky.org. A reminder to everyone on the call, today's webinar will be recorded, so you can share that with your colleagues who may have missed today's event and want to take part in this relaxing 30 minutes. Also, on the webinar platform, you can chat in questions from you, the audience, and they will come directly to us, the presenters today, myself and Dr. Dye. So please feel free to chat in your comments, questions. We welcome those. One more piece about the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky I want to share with you. The Foundation is led by a board of directors and also the Community Advisory Council. And the Community Advisory Council gives advice and recommendations to the board regarding policy and strategic direction, adherence to the mission, and the Advisory Council members also serve as liaisons between Kentucky communities and the Foundation for Healthy Kentucky. We invite you to join this council to nominate yourself or your colleagues in Kentucky who are interested in working toward the Foundation's mission. You can find more about the council, including the nominations form, at the Foundation's website. Learn more about the council. This afternoon, I will send you an email with a link to a survey. I would love feedback on what you thought about today's survey. In this afternoon's email, I will also send you a link to the upcoming registration page for this series. This series, as you may recall, Dr. Dye will be presenting additional webinars each Friday through the remainder of 2020. So please mark your calendars and share that registration page with your friends and colleagues. All are welcome on this free training series. This training series that we called Health for a Change was launched by the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky in 2011. And it is here to support people just like you and health advocates, health department staff across Kentucky, and any folks that are working to improve health across the state. We've had a wide variety of topics in this training series, from grant writing to finding health data. Previously, in October, we did a webinar on grieving and COVID-19. We have upcoming webinars on COVID-19 and health policy. So on the website, healthy-ky.org, Health for a Change, you can find the archives of past events and also our upcoming schedule. I mentioned the value of collaboration, and this training series is all about collaboration. I'm really honored to have worked with great people across Kentucky, from Kane Community Kitchen in Whitesburg, Kentucky, to the Kentucky Center for Smoke-Free Policy, Kentucky African Americans Against Cancer, Louisville Free Public Library, Jessica Bellamy of the Root Causes Research Center, and I can go on and on. It's just great joy for me to connect with people who are doing good work in Kentucky so that all of us can move forward together. So this training series I've subtitled Kentucky Inspired. In March, when the pandemic came to Kentucky, I knew that I wanted to get inspiration from our Kentucky colleagues. And I want to let you know that this connection is from my representative, state representative of Kentucky, Attica Scott, who I saw had a presentation on her Facebook page. And that's how I met Dr. Cree Dry, your presenter for today. So this is what I love about Kentucky, all of us sharing good information and collaborating to improve health and our own lives here in the state of Kentucky. Without further ado, I'm honored to turn it over to our presenter today, Dr. Cree Dry. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm so happy to just have the next 25 or so minutes with you all. So the way that I would like for us to come together today, you can see the slide where it says bringing justice back to our bodies, and the breath, the beat, the brain, the body. I usually do this when I start classes or working with the client, or even just with my own family when we've been away from each other. So you all, we're back together again, and I'm happy to be back with you. And because we've been away from each other, I'd like for us to do some collective breathing together, just to attune and to bring our attention to this moment right now. And last week I used the chime, but this week I just want us to use our bodies and our breaths and our brains and our beat. When you see beat, that stands for heartbeat. So everybody just find a comfortable position in your chair where you are. Just finding a comfortable position that's good for you. And then, never mind all the things that are sitting around you right now. Just bring your attention to you and to this moment. You're welcome to close your eyes or just let your gaze fall down to your lap. And as you do, I want to invite you just to notice your breath. Notice the quality of your breath. And even notice that the moment you take a second to notice the breath, it kind of slows itself down. And when you notice the breath, the inhale, it always seems cooler than the exhale. And I want to invite us to take 3 collective breaths together. And let me tell you about that. With the collective breath, we're going to inhale through our nose. And with this exhale, though, family, we're going to exhale just like we're saying, just like we're surrendering or releasing. When you get home and take your shoes off and able to sit down and be still. And sometimes we just naturally do a release like this when we go, right? So I want us to do 3 releasing breaths, 3 collective breaths together, where we're just cleansing, the beginning of the week and moving into the end of our week. We'll do that collectively. So roll your shoulders back and down. You're welcome to let your palms face up or face down. What feels natural for you? Noticing your breath again. And then family, here we go. Let's do this together. Everybody take a breath in and sigh it out. Beautiful. 2 more times. Inhale. Sigh it out. All right, family. Last one. Inhale. And sigh it out. Awesome. So thank you for that moment. I always tell my students sometimes, I say, yeah, y'all think that was for you, but that was actually for me. It brought me here with you all and connected me with you all, so thank you. And it also calms me down when I get a little excited about whatever content or information that I'm sharing. So thank you for helping me calm down right now, family. And I'm going to move through the slides. So moving to our next slide, if you can see this one. Like I said last week, you are the primary subject of this content. I'd like for you to visit with this content. How does it apply to you? How does it feel for you? What do you sense when you read it or when you hear it? And just enjoy noticing how your body feels through this information. So you see that I wrote brain, beat, breath, and body. So brain, I think that we are all story keepers, right? We are all story keepers just here to mend the circle of life for ourselves, our families, and future generations. I'm talking about the beat, our heartbeat, and just this respect too that for me and for those that I work with, I hope that we recognize and respect that self-care is the new healthcare, right? And y'all know, and I'm saying this in the most joking way that I can, because can't nobody afford that stuff anyway, right? The healthcare and the price and cost of healthcare. So self-care is our new healthcare. But then also the breath and how the breath takes care of you, and how you breathe in is how you live in. So being able to just notice the breath. Sometimes I tell my students, especially undergrad students, I say, you all turn off Netflix and watch yourselves. Turn off Netflix and watch your breath, and allow yourself to be in touch with you. And then also the body. And I'm really big on, as a therapist for over 20 plus years, I've truly believed and come to know that the body and the bottom-up exploration, meaning visiting ourselves through our bodies and recognizing that stress, trauma, and emotions get held in the body. So this is kind of like my orientation, you all. This is the framework. This is what I come from when I think about how we can help ourselves, but then also release, surrender some of the stress from our bodies, how we can engage more in self-care and that capital, and then also some healing. So let me keep flowing through this, y'all. I hope y'all are enjoying it. So I notice, I sense, I feel, I analyze, I reconcile. You probably remember this slide if you were with me last week. This is the approach that I'd like to invite you to take. Just as the words come across, as you see a slide, just notice. Notice your body. Notice what's going on. Sense if there's anything that you can sense. Sometimes you might feel, you might sense some resistance to something I share. You might sense some connection to it, and then feel. And then when we get to do all that, we get to move into analyzing and reconciling. So even inviting that practice with you today. But as usual, I absolutely love to connect with people. I'm so in love with human beings. I'm so in love with people. And I just want to take a moment to have a quick connection with you all. So let's connect. So what I want to invite you to do, and write it in the chat, I'd like to invite you to respond to one of these prompts. You can either share one thing that makes you happy, one thing that makes you human, or you're welcome to share your why. Your why can be anything, just the first thing that comes to your mind. There isn't a rule to it. What is your why? So I'll just pause for a few breaths here, a few beats, so that you all can think about that, feel about that, and then type it in. I'd like to see what's going on with y'all. I love it. Rochelle said already, stretching my arms to the sky. That makes her happy. That makes her human too, I believe, right? Amazing. Masami says, beautiful autumn weather makes me, isn't it beautiful? And just being outside and feeling the breeze. Oh, my family makes me happy, and they're also my why. Yes, we got some sunshine that makes us happy. Oh, and the foundation's mission, I like that as a why. This is a great why. I'm going to wait for a couple of more, and you all, I'll share them with you. These are good. That sunshine is good to me, too. It makes me so, so happy. I'm interested if anyone's going to share something that makes them human. I know for me, one thing that makes me human is the fact that I make mistakes. The fact that I make mistakes, and I'm going to make more mistakes after this, whatever mistake I make next. So that's something that makes me human. Beautiful. Family being happy. Yes, beautiful, you all. Okay, thank you for connecting with me. I love that connection. And if I see any more pop up over the presentation, I'll try to give us a moment of that, because that helps to connect us. Okay, so next slide. This is for you. Connect this to you. As I breathe, I heal, I transform my lineage and my legacy. Do you all know that? And I just want to give a shout out to y'all. I'm in love with books, and Octavia Rahim, this author, she wrote this beautiful writing. It's called Gather. And it really helps with some soul healing. You know, it helps me have conversations with my soul when I read over her writings. But in this modern life, and with this strong influence of individualism, many of us think that our bodies belong to just us, right? And that we can do whatever we want with our bodies. And, you know, as soon as we kind of make a contract with that or think that way, you know, everything comes into alignment with that. However, our bodies are not ours alone. This framework that I come from, I believe that we also belong to Mother Earth. We belong to our ancestors, our parents, our future generations, and really all living beings, everything, even the trees and the clouds have come together to bring about the presence of our bodies, of your body. So keeping your body healthy is the best way to me to express your gratitude to the whole cosmos, to the universe, you all, to God, whoever you see, whatever you see as a higher power, to all your ancestors, and to not betray our future generations, y'all. So we take responsibility for them today. That feels good. So we breathe for that and we heal for that. Some of you saw the slide that I shared last week where I just tapped on 3 types of stressors, right? So I talked about acute stress, chronic stress, and psychological stress. And I want to get into that a little deeper because actually there were some people that sent in comments that said they'd like to know better how to manage and deal with stress. So let's get into that. As I shared last week, emotion, stress, and trauma can get locked in our bodies. And I'll even show you all an image. And it's basically, this is an emotions map. And where you see the brighter red or almost, kind of moving into bright yellow and white, that's where that energy or that's where those emotions are highest or they show up highest, right? And when we look at our bodies, and this is just the warmth of it, right? And I don't know if you even noticed some of these. I'll be quiet for a second so you all can just check it out. Some of you have probably seen this before, I'm sure. And if any of them catch your attention, but usually when I'm sharing this with clients or with students or with colleagues, a couple that always catch their attention is just, for example, depression. I don't know if you all have ever been in a relationship with someone who struggles with these places of depression or even dysthymia, a low grade of depression. A lot of times they describe it as they feel cold or they feel numb, and you can notice and see that it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of heat or thermal heat in those spaces in their body, like the extremities and things like that. But then before we move on to the next slide, I want you all to just enjoy that heat and what you see in love and happiness and how there's this connection of the heart as well as the mind and the full body experience, right? But all of it is energy, yes? And you've heard me say this, emotions are energy in motion. And I think that all of it has an energy and a frequency. And so where you see those really strong hot spots, we can call it, that's where the energy is highest at. And then where you see things like neutral, you see low energy or these low vibrations or low frequencies throughout the body, yes? I'm going to keep moving because I got some more good stuff for y'all, okay? So here, I'm just going to try to make you smile with this one, but it's so true and it's so real. It's so real how, our brains are our bodyguards, so we're always looking. Negative bias is a real thing, you all. We're always looking at the bad first, while our hearts are over here like, hey, look, here, brain, come look at this. There's so much good going on. It's kind of like, do you remember being in school where you might get some feedback from a teacher, and that teacher would probably put all kind of positive comments all throughout the paper, but then you'd hold on to that one comment that was probably either you perceived it as negative or an area to grow, right? So that's kind of how our brains keep us safe, So here, I love the brain. I don't know if you all like to kind of just nerd out on brain stuff, but here's a beautiful brain that one of my friends, a graphic designer, she created for me because she knows how I feel about the brain. We have these models that we usually function from when we talk about just brain stuff and neuroscience. So we have a triune brain model, the quadroon brain model, and then the embodied. But specifically, I want you all to notice the 3 parts of the brain when we talk about triune. So the lower part is the reptilian, okay? So you hear a lot of people talk about the reptilian brain, and that's where we get all that fight and flight and freeze and faint stuff coming in, okay, you all? So that's the lower part of the brain. That's our instinctual area, the breathing, the heart rate, our feeding, our digestion, all of that is related to the reptilian brain, the instincts, right? And then we have the mammalian brain. And this area of the brain is key to just those, the pieces of us like our motivation or our memories and our emotions. and just behavior and arousal. And then when you look at the prefrontal cortex, if you can look at that area that's kind of light blue in the front, that's our thinking part, and that's what we call the human part. And that's where when we do our good thinking, usually we have to have access to that part of the brain in order to think clearly and be able to solve problems and find resolutions, right? So I wanted to just give you all an idea of what that brain, and you've probably heard this before, but it's such good stuff. I like to review it and check it out. So there's our brain, and here's some brain basics. I call our brain our bodyguard, right? I say that the brain just wants to keep you safe. It's always trying to protect you, and it functions on an efficiency model. So it's almost like it keeps what's important, and then it doesn't focus on what's not important for your safety. That's the most important thing, for your safety. But what we've learned through neuroscience and just continual research is that the brain is in every cell of the body. So essentially, you all, our whole body is our brain, and as soon as you think a thought, the body responds. So I want to get into that a little bit more, especially as we talk about stress. And I know there were some people who were interested in hearing more about stress. So we must take responsibility for our brain, breath, and health. So here's some stuff about stress, you all. And again, go back to you and say, okay, how does this apply to me? And you can even do this. I know we can't see each other, but perhaps you can raise your hand, and I'll ask you this question. So effects of constantly elevated stress hormones. Are any of you struggling with memory and attention problems? You can raise your hand, right? Are any of you struggling with irritability? What about anxiety? What about lack of sleep or sleep disorders? Or what about addictions? And when I say addictions, I'm not just speaking, a lot of times people think that addictions is with, someone struggling with drugs or alcohol, but essentially, we all have an addiction, and especially now during this very difficult time, a lot of us have these experiences with process addictions, like you're jumping on and buying a whole lot of shopping, and Amazon deliveries are at your house a lot. There's no judgment. I'm just calling out what we as humans do, you all. So addictions to some yummy food, perhaps some addictions to unhealthy relationships. We all struggle with that during times of our lives. But then also obesity. And I'm not saying that in the place of body shaming anyone, but just being at a healthy weight and a healthy size is what we want to chase. But when we're under stress, that's hard to do because our cortisol levels are heightened. And so what happens when the cortisol levels are heightened? Especially around the midsection of our body, we tend to retain any extra weight because remember what I said about the brain being your bodyguard? It wants to keep you safe. So it's retaining that, especially where the vital organs are. It wants to keep you safe. Okay, let's keep moving on because I don't want to make this too damp and dark for you all. But when under stress, family, here's one thing that I always go back to. When I know that I'm experiencing higher levels of stress, I notice that there is a shift in my perception and imagination. And you all want to know what? When under stress, we lose the capacity to let our minds play. It's almost like one of the first things we lose is our imagination. And without imagination, you have no vision, right? And without that imagination, it's hard to see that everything will be okay. And without that imagination, it's hard to solve problems. It's hard to see that sitting right next to this problem is a solution, right? Without our imaginations. So what about this? Stress changes not only how we think and what we think, but also the capacity to think. So go back in your minds to that brain. Remember that brain? And I said about the prefrontal cortex. Here, I'll click on it. So when under stress, that lower brain, just basically the reptilian brain gets activated, then the middle brain, it kind of freezes, and then we don't have access to that prefrontal cortex, you all. So then we lose our capacity to think. So asking someone a really big question or asking them to think through something while under stress, that's kind of counterproductive. It's really hard for someone to think when under stress. Here's where I have hope because of neuroplasticity, you all. This is an exciting slide for me. Every time I share information about neuroplasticity, I almost feel like Oprah. I feel like you get a new brain, you get a new brain, you get a new brain. Because of neuroplasticity, we have this bidirectional incline or decline. But the ability to me, I focus on the incline. And then the structural parts of the brain, the ability to change structurally due to learning, and then functional, brain's ability to move functions from a damaged area of the brain to an undamaged area. Neuroplasticity, you all, to me, is the best. And that is why I am in the profession that I am, because I believe that people can change. I believe that people can change. So speaking of techniques and things that we can do to relax the stress response in the body and activate the relaxation response, I want to take you all through a couple. How about we start with the left-right tap? So everybody just look down at your hand. So look at your left hand and look at your right hand. Now, I want you to bring your left pointer finger and your left middle finger together. Just bringing those two together, and the rest of your fingers can just relax. And then do the same thing with your right hand. One of my good friends, Arturo Peel, he's like this amazing yogi. He's taught me so many good things, but he taught me this one. So bring your left pointer finger and your left middle finger together, and then do the same thing with your right hand. Awesome. Now, open and close the right pointer finger and the left thumb, and the right thumb, and then do the same on the opposite side. So now, family, just go back and forth, open and closing, alternating between the left side to the right side. So you're just tapping that finger together. Another option, if you don't want to just stay with the fingers, and usually, you know what I've done? When I used to be a high school counselor, I would tell my students, when you're right before a test, when you feel yourself and the stress rising up, put your hands underneath your desk and then just go left to right, open and closing. Or maybe you're in a difficult conversation with someone. Put your hands under the desk and just go left to right, open and close, open and close. Awesome. So the breathe, ground, settle, you all, we did that at the beginning. Remember when I told you that I wanted to take a moment for us to breathe together? That essentially was allowing us to rock the reptilian part of our brain. Remember what I said about the reptilian brain, that lower part, the fight, flight, or freeze? I call it rock the reptilian so it can stop producing stress hormones. And then guess what? Earlier on in this presentation, we practiced with some images and mirror neurons. So what do I mean by that? When I asked you all to say one good thing in your life right now, yes, one thing that makes you happy. Like, what is your happy, right? What makes you human? So anytime you bring up things like that, just hearing another person's story or seeing another person smile, it activates the mirror neurons, and then it releases these yummy hormones through our bodies. We practice this. So I want to take us to another slide, just so you all know that you have a pharmacy within. Like, you have some answers inside of you, right? We have medicine within us. I love to share that. We have a pharmacy within. So everybody check out all these good chemical messengers that we have inside our bodies, these good hormones. So you look at the endorphins, and that's the painkiller. So anytime you're in a conversation with a good friend, just laughing up, you know, where your face starts to hurt or your ribs start to hurt. And then serotonin, I don't know about you all, but I recognize that dark chocolate helps to release serotonin in my body. And usually when I've been in front of the screens all day, I get that feeling where I need some dark chocolate, or I need to get up and go for a walk, or just go sit by a tree. Somebody brought up sunshine. There you go. You get a nice boost of serotonin. And then look at oxytocin. I love the oxytocin. I love that connects us. At birth, there was a huge release of oxytocin between you and your mama. And that's why for us as mammals, we're so connected to our birth mothers. Beautiful, right? And then our dopamine. We get to celebrate just small wins. Even if it's a small win, let's celebrate. Making your bed in the morning, celebrate. And that releases dopamine. So before we go, family, I want to take us to this slide. I want to keep reminding you and enjoy this all day throughout your days. Allow yourself to notice, to sense, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to analyze and reconcile. So instead of jumping to the brain and trying to just be rational and think about everything, come back to your body. Bring justice back to your body by noticing, by sensing what's coming up for you, and by feeling. I think that that's part of our birthright. Yep, it's your birthright to find your own self. It's your birthright to watch and notice you. And here you all, before we leave, the words got cut off. I didn't notice that. Sorry, y'all. But I'll just share what it says to you. We all came here as love. Some of us are just having a temporary deviation from love's perfection. You all, we came here as love. So in our process of one more minute and allowing this to download, I'm going to invite everyone to close their eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want to give you something to smile about. We have 6 more sessions through the end of this 2020. Every Friday we'll come together. You'll get an email with that link, as you were told earlier. And with your eyes closed, I just want you to notice your breath. Allowing yourself to watch your breath. Allowing your thoughts to calm down. Here's one of my favorite things about calming my thoughts. With my breath and noticing, as I watch my mind, the number of my thoughts minimize. And when that happens, it's easier to see the quality of my thoughts. It's easier for me to get in touch with my imagination. So allow yourself to just breathe here. Welcome some imagination back to your body with each breath. Welcome some awareness back to your body. And when we watch our mind, we shift our focus inward, and there's so much good stuff in there, y'all, inside of you. I'm going to take one beautiful breath in. Y'all can join me. And then exhale and sigh it out. And y'all have a good Thursday, and I hope to see you. Next Friday, we'll actually have a video, so you'll be able to see some of the things that I'm describing. So y'all enjoy and take care. Take real good care.